Type Podcast.
Here we go. Hello, hello, around the block and around the world. This is where we discuss, debate, and deliberate all things diabetes. Representing type 2, my name is Dobie Maxwell. Representing type 1, the vivacious, effervescent, and always in the know, Ms. Sami Parker. We'll get to Sami in seconds, but first, we are proud to announce that this episode is sponsored by Diastrong, an affordable and accessible telehealth platform for people with diabetes. That will be us. Over the past few months, I've had the pleasure of booking appointments with a variety of diabetic professionals, from dietitians to exercise professionals. Keep listening to learn more and receive a promo code for your first appointment. Sami, did you measure your blood sugar today?
Dobie? Yeah, I'm a little on the struggle bus today.
The struggle bus? I drive the struggle bus.
I really am. My hormones are going very wild because I'm on my menstrual cycle. So right now, this is probably, you know what? Actually, no. This is what the podcast is for. It's safe space. My blood sugar right now is 315. And I cannot get it down with as much insulin as I've taken. It looks like this. And I don't actually feel like my blood sugar is high right now because it's not like a true high. I call them like true highs and fake highs. And fake highs are always from hormones or like my period. And then true highs are like really actually my blood sugar is high and I have the effects of it. And right now I don't feel very high. My blood sugar's sky high. So I'm trying to, it's okay.
For whatever it's worth, if you were just 1 point lower, you'd be my birthday, 314. Now you're the Ides of March. You don't want to be in March. Pop some insulin as we chat.
I'm going to be popping some insulin right now. But so I think today's episode, is very exciting because we're talking about as we're sponsored by Diastrong, but Diastrong is a platform, like a telehealth platform with professionals that talk about all things diabetes management. So I think for our listeners' sake and our sake, it'd be helpful to kind of discuss the difference in type 1 and type 2 diabetes management and just kind of like discuss the main differences, because I think everybody handles it differently, but from an objective standpoint, not like an individualistic one, type 1 is very based on doctors and healthcare professionals are like, focus on your insulin. Everything's insulin. It's like you can eat whatever you want, but insulin. And type 2 is very centered around health and fitness, as you know.
Diet and exercise, the big two.
Yep.
And I think you can't have one without the other.
It's kind of like when they say abs aren't made in the gym, abs are made in the kitchen,
Well, I never heard that before. That's actually pretty good.
Wait, really? Yeah, it's like abs are made in the kitchen because it's like you can't just exercise and expect to get abs. It's like the same thing with diabetes. You can't just expect with type 2, you can't just expect to like take your medication and poof, I'm fine. It's a whole overall wellness.
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle change. And I think the good thing about getting diagnosed, and hopefully we have some new diagnosed people listening to us, and it can be overwhelming. We've talked about it in other episodes. Feel free to go check those out. It can be frightening. It can be a death sentence. And fear I know it did for me, got me out exercising when I first got diagnosed. It was in June, so it was starting to get a little warm where I was, but I was out walking every day until basically I couldn't walk anymore because I didn't know about it. I'm thinking, well, if the doctor tells me diet and exercise will turn this around, I'm doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care if I have a chance to turn around. So I really, within 3 months, I was off all insulin. I took insulin and my A1C was sky high. My blood sugar was 500 at diagnosis, but through diet and exercise, and then I didn't maintain it. So again, now back doing the show, I'm out there walking more than I ever have before. As we record this, it's day 36 of 10,000 steps or more in a row. And I did 14,400 yesterday.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you very much. But you and Elizabeth and Zach and our entire pod squad and everybody at Global Wellness Apps, which includes the Diastrong people. That's why I think one thing about you and I, Sam, we don't BS. We tell it like it is. And that's why I love working with you.
No, that's what I like about this.
And I love the Diastrong people because everybody I talk to there has been down to earth, real people. They tell it like it is. And I just struck off a great vibe immediately. And I know you did too.
Exactly. And I think, so for me, with type 1, I try to manage it too with exercise and nutrition a lot, like huge. And so I think a lot of people don't. And that's something that it kind of bums me out for people with type 1 that are told, like, it doesn't matter about that. Like, it's only insulin. Because I'm like, why make life harder when you have the opportunity to make it easier by exercising and eating healthier options? And my mom always said this growing up for me, like, someone who cares about diabetes, like about their health and has diabetes, the way a diabetic should eat, specifically even type 2, is how everyone should eat. because the
That's
benefits
a good point.
are so high and so beneficial. It's kind of like, why? I don't know. I just don't get it. But I know we're all different and we're all human. So it makes us all great.
Well, that's true, but I think that's why we need the community to say, boy, if Dobie can do it and Sami can do it, we're both, both types that I think anybody can truly do it. And it's not, you're
Yeah.
not going to solve it in a day. You're not going to turn it around immediately. You're going to make some mistakes, have some cheat days, not to say you can't enjoy anything.
Totally.
But I think the majority has to be health. And I really like this because you're encouraging me, whether you know it or not. Hopefully I'm encouraging you by getting my
Yes.
flabby buttocks out there.
No, but it's hard. Like, it's definitely hard. I mean, even for you, so like with type 2 diabetes management, when you first went, were they just like, did they give you a pill? Did they give you the 24-hour insulin?
No, they didn't give me a pill. They gave me insulin.
Which kind of insulin? Do you remember?
It was Lantus.
Okay. And so you only took it once because that's a 24-hour insulin.
Yes.
So you took it once a day. And how much were you on? Do you remember?
It's been so long ago, I don't remember, but I gradually took the dose down myself.
Does 9 ring a bell?
Thought it was 7 or 8. 9 does not ring a bell. Maybe it was 9. I don't know what it was.
7 or 8. That would actually make sense.
Yeah. And then my blood sugar went down. So I would go see the doctor, I don't know, every couple of weeks when I first got diagnosed. And then it got to the point where I would take it every other day.
Yeah.
And then I would go off of it, see what had happened. And I thought my heart's going to pop like a zit and I'm going to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't happen. So then I hadn't seen the doctor for a while. And I went back and I kind of sheepishly said, hey, doc, I kind of, weaned myself off the insulin. I thought he was going to yell at me. He goes, hey, good for you. Proud of you. Very good.
See?
You don't need it anymore. You're feeling well. I won't say that some days are better than others. I did have some lows.
Yeah.
I learned how to manage it. And I think that's the thing too. You have to listen to your body. Like Sami said, we're all different.
Yes.
I think type 1s and type 2s, but especially me. So I can feel it. I can feel my sugar's low. I can feel my sugar's high. I can feel it after I eat something. It's like, maybe I shouldn't have had that. I had too much of this.
Yeah, that's a good question because you don't finger prick. So what exactly do you feel when you know you're low?
I feel my tongue getting heavy because I talk a lot, for a living, whatever. And I miss words.
Yeah.
I can just feel it.
Okay, you start to slur.
Yes.
You got the slurs.
Got the slurs. I got the salty sugars. I don't complete thoughts. I'm a pretty quick thinker. I can come up with a quick line, a quick joke. When I'm low,
Yeah.
Sometimes I miss something. Sometimes I'll search for a word, something like that. It's like, I know that I'm low.
Yeah, I completely get what you mean. That makes sense.
You feel that too?
Yeah, I get very sluggish and my thoughts all kind of jumble together. I don't really know what I'm saying. I start to sweat a little. But that's something that I think with type 2, especially if you're not finger pricking, which some people do all the time, some people don't, that I think it's really important to be in tune with your body because it's such a diagnosis that is involving health and wellness.
I'm going to start finger pricking again, only because I think out of respect for our listeners, because I know nobody wants to do it. Who wants to, I'm going to take a needle and jam it into my raw flesh.
Totally.
No one wants to do that. So I don't think I'm better than anybody. And I'm so thankful to be on this podcast because I think about diabetes more. A lot of times people like me, type 2s, you get it under control, you do your diet and exercise, and then you forget about it and go back to doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So then 10 years from now, when they're cutting your toes off, you're thinking, boy, I should have listened.
Yep. And you're like, oh.
Unfortunately, when it goes bad, the neuropathies of the world and the bad side effects, that takes a lot of years to build up.
No, it does.
I think it's that whole daily process of, boy, I'm going to exercise today, so 10 years from now I can have socks that fit.
Exactly. But I think that's even type 1, type 1 management is so important because it is so much based on insulin and making sure you're taking the correct doses and the correct ratios for taking insulin for your food. But a lot of it is exercise too. For me, even right now, my blood sugar being that high, I'll probably go on a walk after this to try to get the insulin moving. And it's not because I didn't take insulin. I've taken triple the amount of insulin today, but it's because I'm insulin resistant because of my hormones. And so it's just it doesn't even work. But the second I exercise, it comes down. And so I think that's why it's so important and why even the Diastrong telehealth platform is so important because there's so many different healthcare professionals within the diabetes management realm there that it's so beneficial for even a type 1 to meet with all of them. For me, it'd be great. Meet with a personal trainer on there, figure out an exercise regimen if I didn't already exercise. Nutrition, so great. And I know that we're going to dive into this in a little, but meeting with the dietitian. We have Donna on there. She does Reiki. Amazing. So awesome. And there's so many different components. And I think those Venn diagrams, they overlap. They're circles.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle, the circle that they share, it would be sleep, nutrition, exercise, meditation, and assertiveness, responsibility. There's just so many things that go into it. for all of them.
Well, like you said, the same thing, though. That's regular life, not just diabetic life. I want to just go back for a second and talk about Donna Cross.
Yeah.
This lady, we'll have her on as a guest. She is absolutely fantastic. She has her own story. I'm not going to drop her story, but she's miraculous. She lost, I believe it's 285 pounds and walking every day. And she is a Reiki practitioner. And I did not know what Reiki was. Did you? I know you live in California where all the woo-woo stuff is.
I did know what Reiki was because of an internship I was doing.
Well, why don't you explain it to listeners? Because a lot of people didn't. I didn't know.
So basically, Reiki, and I don't know it to be like exact, but it's basically the transformation of energy. So like energy healing through like transferring your energy to somebody else. That's the basic.
It's ancient and it's, I believe, of Japanese origin.
It is.
But it's fantastic, and I really think it helped me out.
Hey, Dobie, I heard you're on this new health kick with Diastrong.
Sammy, it's not a health kick. It's a telehealth platform with professionals.
Well, I'm glad you're listening to professionals since you ignore me. But in all seriousness, I've been using Diastrong too, just so I can keep up with you.
Keep up with me? Take a number. I've been meeting with dietitians and holistic professionals for the past 2 months to get my diabetes in check.
That's wild. Is it April Fool's Day? Just kidding. I've also been meeting with diabetes professionals, and I love how I can access them right from the comfort of my own home.
Well, I love how I can access appointments while I'm on the road and how it's affordable. And you know how I squeeze my pennies.
Well, I'm glad this is something we can both agree on since Diastrong is for everyone. Type 1, type 2, gestational, and prediabetes.
Well, it's really helped me get my life in check, and so we've got a special promo code for our listeners. Use JMT50, that's 50, for 50% off, and join Sammy and me in our health journeys today.
Take a step towards better health and take a step towards Diastrong. So Dobie, as far as like meeting with different healthcare professionals on Diastrong, I know you've been racking up all their appointments here. Probably like, Dobie.
No, I have. And you and I met with the same person, a dietitian named Carly, who was wonderful also.
She's amazing. Loved her.
Now, what is your experience? Now, from a type 1, and you're very health conscious anyway. So what was your experience with her? And I'll tell you mine.
All right. So Carly, first off, I like applaud her because I talk really fast, if you can't tell. And she totally followed everything I said. I think I gave her, she was like, you gave me a life synopsis in 3 minutes.
Perfect.
And I was like, I did. Of everything I've dealt with, healthcare wise, like nutrition wise, and the whole shebang. And with Carly, for us, she was like, you have no issue figuring out what to eat, what you shouldn't be eating, all that. Like, she's like, I think that you have it kind of figured out. But what I struggle with is sometimes it's really difficult because I'll have like spikes randomly from like the same foods and whatnot. And I think I struggle with the balance of, I want to be able to go out and enjoy eating out with friends and family, but it's sometimes hard because my control, then the diabetes control with like the oil and whatnot, since I'm insulin resistant,
Sure,
takes a toll. And then I want to like have great control. So I'm like, I'm just going to eat at home. But there's that balance there. And it's like how you said, like in the groove, finding your groove of like what works, what doesn't. And I want to make it work, but it sometimes can be overwhelming. So Carly is going to help me kind of find ways and that are the most beneficial and like different foods. It's called food combining, like adding spinach to, my smoothie. Spinach has a lot of fiber, so it would slow down the glucose from making my blood sugar rise. So different things like that. And so I'm going to make a food diary of 3 days. I'm going to send it to Carly. She's going to kind of see. And we're going to kind of go from there. But we also talked a lot about hormones too. And it's cool because she has a background in hormones. But we're going to trial and error. But she was awesome. And so I don't know what your experience was with her.
Well, it's exactly the opposite. Obviously, we didn't talk about hormones, and that's okay. I'm glad we didn't. But what we did talk about was diet planning. Like you said, she said, have a 3-day journal of everything that you ate. The more detail. So if you had breakfast, did you have toast? Was there butter on the toast? Was there jelly on the butter on the toast? Every detail of everything you put in your mouth. And I don't think we realize it as type 1 or type 2 necessarily. It's like, well, I ate that. I mean, in my mind, it was this. And then you look on paper, it's like, I ate more than I should have, or I did pretty good. I should have. So she kind of went through it.
So did she give you specific foods? I'm really curious and I want to hear about it. And I'm sure our listeners do.
No, she did. And she talked about, like you said, combining foods. Like she said, what do you have in the morning? A lot of times I would just go with, the whole apple a day. So I'll have an apple for breakfast.
Yeah.
Just that's it. Maybe some yogurt. And she said, well, the protein in the yogurt will counteract the carbs in the apple. She said, if you don't want to have yogurt, maybe you can dip the apple in peanut butter. And now because you have to always have some protein with it to neutralize it, like you said, so the carbs won't be so high. And she said yogurt is a good thing in the morning because it's basically a complete meal. and the Greek yogurt was better. And she said, okay, what store do you shop at? And there's a big chain in the Midwest that I'd shop at. So she looked up the menu online.
What is it?
Well, they're not sponsors, so I'm not going to mention. It's in the Midwest. I'll tell you if you want to know. It's called Meijer, Meijer.
Myers? Oh, I know what that is. Okay.
Okay. Well, my point is they started in Michigan, and I just hear from everybody. When I lived in Michigan, I had a radio job there. So it was the first time I saw a store that was absolutely humongous. You could buy a couch
Yeah.
and tires for your car and a banana in the same store.
Yeah.
Now you see it everywhere. Walmart's got food, Target's got food, a lot of the big places do. But back then it didn't. So I just thought it was a huge store. And I just heard that they were very philanthropic and the family owned it for years. And so she said, when you go to the grocery store, you got to get things that are for your lifestyle. And a lot of things that we talked about on another episode of, grocery shopping, figuring that out.
Tips and tricks at the grocery store.
Yeah, but she said, okay, now what are you going to go when you go there? She said, change your style of yogurt. Greek yogurt would be good. What vegetables are better than others? Like you said, more fiber, more vegetables. And she just kind of walked me through it. And now I find she also told me to get a scale. I don't know about you as a type 1, if it makes a difference.
Yeah, I have a food scale.
No, not a food scale, a weight scale, like a bathroom scale.
I do have a weight scale too. I actually weigh myself weekly, once a week.
Carly told me, she said, weigh yourself every day. Because she said, if you're over your weight, it's going to motivate you. If you're under your weight, it's going to motivate you.
Yes.
So I got one.
Yeah. And I think obviously that's something that can be taken differently for different people, because some people, that can trigger different things as far as if you have a past with any kind of stuff. But for Dobie, it works amazing and works for you great, because that would give you a very good idea of okay, I'm motivated today. I'm going to work my tushy off and I'm going to get my steps.
Literally get your tushy off. So I didn't even think about it. I hadn't weighed myself in years. What does it matter?
Yeah.
Okay. And she said, no, I think you need to get solid numbers in your head. So, okay. She said, well, sometimes I do my walking in a mall. So there's a scale there. It's a quarter. It's put in there. So she says, well, just buy one. So I'm cheap. You know me. I went to a thrift store, got one for $2, really nice one. And she said, I showed her the receipt. We were laughing about it. So she said, okay, now weigh yourself every day before you get as few clothing. And now I get on the scale naked. Sorry to put you through that visual.
Naked.
That's about as least clothing as you can have. And I've been marking my weight every day. And so since I started, we had a step challenge as we're recording this about a month ago. So it's been 30 whatever days of walking.
Yes.
And I lost 8 pounds in 32 days.
Yeah, Dobie.
Yeah. And she said, oh, even her eyebrows raised. Wow, that's pretty good.
Oh my God, how do you feel?
Unbelievably better.
Is your special lady friend?
Which one, Sammy? Take a number.
Which one? Number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 57?
Well, you know what? I'm just glad to have one. And we talked about that off the air. I'll keep my private life private. Thank you. So there's a ring on the finger. You like it? Put a ring on it. Oh, that's the other way around.
I realized, Dobie, I was like, I might be talking too much about my private life on here.
Nah, it's so funny.
I was like, Grandma's listening.
It's funny because, months from now, we'll meet somebody and say, hey, what does that thing? People listen. So whatever you put out there, know that we're public figures, like it or not. So anyway, my point is that was the thing that Carly did, and she helped me through it. I was going to a meeting with some radio people, and radio people are not health conscious in the least. And there's this place in Milwaukee, my hometown, and they have what's called butter burgers. Now that just sounds unhealthy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Butter burgers. It sounds like a burger with butter.
Butter burgers. And it's basically, you get an ambulance ride right to the hospital after you eat it, and French fries and deep fried cheese curds and things that taste wonderful. And I told her, I said, look, I have this appointment to meet these friends, and they've been mentors of mine for years, and we're going to this restaurant, and we've never not had. She said, well, you have to break the chain and not do it. So I had a BLT and some chips, and the other guys had their deep fried cheese curds and their butter burger.
Yeah.
Me, are you sick? Are you okay? I said, no, actually I lost 8 pounds. I'm doing really well. And no offense, I don't want a butter burger today. I took a picture and I sent it to Carly, and she's, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
And I was proud of myself. And I'm not saying, if you're listening, I'm not saying you can't have a treat once in a while.
No, totally.
Even a butter burger. But I'm saying it's just a lot less of them. And I can say this from personal experience. I'm at the point now, I don't want those things. I want to eat vegetables.
Oh, that's good though.
You know what I'm saying? I feel so good for losing the weight, for keeping my steps up every day, that's what I'm trying to get across to anybody, type 1 or type 2.
But that's awesome. And that's what we need. We need that positivity in our life.
So when it is a treat, it becomes a treat. Now, I know I'm old. I'm going to go back. When I was a kid, to go to a fast food place, it was your birthday. It was maybe someone else's birthday.
Yeah.
I might have gone 4 times a year, maybe, as a kid. Now there are people going 4 times a week. And you wonder why disease of all kinds is at an epidemic.
It really is, though. That's the thing. And I think with diabetes management, so much of it is correlated to just our healthcare. and people not caring and just the fast food and the convenience, which we've talked about. And I think it's such a bummer because it's like we could make education so public and free, like in this way with podcasts. It would be so awesome. And we want to spread and share the knowledge.
But I think, again, by setting an example, and you are too, and I am, you're for type 1, I'm for type 2, but we're just for health in general, we're both out there doing it. So hopefully if you're listening, and it would just thrill us if you're walking while you're listening to us. That is killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're making yourself better and educating, and be part of the community. We love that.
Yeah, we do. We love it.
We like it. We love it. We want some more.
We like it. We like it a lot. No, honestly. And I think that's even why for me, like so the program I'm doing, I'm trying to become an exercise physiologist for those with diabetes, because I think it's something that, again, like it's so helpful. And I wish that more people had access to exercise physiologists and dietitians, because you learn so much. And that's what's great. Everybody has a different job. Everybody's a different field, and you educate and help each other. And the Diastrong is just, that platform is something that, honestly, when I was diagnosed, I wish I would have had. Be like, whoa, okay, I have all these different resources. Like it would have been so nice for me to be able to be like, you know what, I want to go to a Reiki practitioner. I want to go to Donna. Or actually, I want to go to a PT today. And actually, now I want to go to a dietitian. It would have been so nice to have somebody who could have like guided me in every single realm at once.
And there's nothing wrong with having guidance for people that are professionals and they're experienced, and they're reasonably priced. I'm thinking, oh, how much is this going to cost? And it was not only reasonable, and you get I believe it is a 10 or 20 minute free consultation. And I did it with a couple of people, and I thought, okay, I see what kind of the feeling that you get, and it's on Zoom. And we did it, and I could tell in the first 15 seconds, I like Donna. I like Carly. You know what I'm saying? I like her as a person.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of talked about life, and I could tell within a minute they knew what they were talking about.
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't know what Reiki was. I had no idea. When she said, well, this is what it is, and you don't have to do it. And I said, well, I think I'd like to try it. And it went so well.
Yeah.
We did a second session. And I'm thinking, boy, this went even better. And she just, said, your chakras are open, and and I felt noticeably better, and I still do to this day. And she said, no, this is not all. You have to still eat, and you have to still work out. And she works out every day.
Yeah, it's like a recipe. Mm-hmm. You can't leave out some ingredients, or else you're just like, well, this isn't that good. Like the ingredients to a yummy, yummy, yummy cookie is not only going to have flour and water.
Well, it's so true. I'm going to be sexist here in a good way, pro women. Guys, it takes us a lot to go to the hospital to get anything checked out. It's almost like you have your head exploded.
Totally.
And women are much, but hey, I need help. So I think especially for guys, if you're listening, to go to Diastrong and just get someone. It's a free consultation. There is zero risk. Thinking, boy, I didn't really know that.
None.
And then let me try one session. It's affordable. Try it. I'm telling you, I couldn't be happier with it. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it.
Yeah, it's just awesome. It's great. And I love Diastrong. The platform has been so awesome. And I think everybody needs to go right now and book a consultation.
Give it a shot.
I have a question of the pod.
Question of the pod. What is it?
It's, do you see somebody besides an endocrinologist?
Okay.
Do you see anybody other than an endocrinologist? Because I know your answer is yes.
Yeah. Well, now, yes, because of Diastrong, absolutely do.
See? That's mine too.
I will say this, though. I don't know if it's just for a guy thing, a single guy thing, or a type 2 thing, but I especially need Carly, the dietitian's input. I need to plan out my menus. I'm not good at that. You went to school for it. You are good at it. You live at home, which is totally cool. You have great family. They cook or you cook or whatever. Yeah. I don't. And we went through my diet, and it's like, sometimes I eat breakfast, sometimes I don't, sometimes, especially when I'm on the road. Mm-hmm. You go into restaurants and think, I had a comedy show, and we went over the thing that I had at a chain restaurant, and she just kind of flinched. It's like, you can't have that too often. Yeah. But she said it in a nice way. It wasn't like a nagging wife. No offense. It's like, you might want to think about this. So I know I need it. Yeah, I do too. So that's the question of the pod, and you can share, review, rate, subscribe. Please give us a 5-star rating so we can get the diabetes community together, get it boosted up, and allow everybody to listen and to be a part of the conversation. I have a quick shout out to a girl named, I don't know if this is how you pronounce it, but it's Rabea Arad. And she reached out to me on Instagram. Cool name.
I know, really cool name. And said how our podcast has been so uplifting and has really helped her see diabetes differently, even though she's been struggling with it for a while, and that she loves it and thinks it's such a cool, safe space. So I just thought that was really cool. And I feel so honored that people want to listen and feel like they can relate to us, because that's the goal. But you can find us on social media. I'm going through it. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram at justmytypepod_, Facebook at justmytypepod, and our hashtag justmytypepod.
We're on the Twitter.
We are on the Twitter.
And we're on the Instagram too. Thanks for reaching out. Anybody, we love you all. We appreciate listening to you. We are fallible humans just like you.
Exactly.
Glad you're part of our community. Time to go for now. Sammy, you got to put the cherry on the sundae, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Say la vie, baby.
This is the Just My Type podcast.